Hey everybody, welcome to Valor Insurance Group. Today we're going to kind of dive a little bit more deep into the coverage for you, the coverage for them a little bit, the bodily injury and uninsured underinsured part. The state minimums for bodily injury is $50,100. And like in my last video, I was talking about how, let's say for example, if you slid off the road and you hit somebody and they decided to sue you, that's when your bodily injury picks up. And I was also talking about how you always want to make sure your assets are below your bodily injury limits. So let's say, for example, you had a $300,000 house. Well, your bodily injury limits, you always want to make sure they're higher. So you want to do like a 500. So it's 500,000 per person, 500,000 per accident. So if you only hit one person, that's just going to be that 500,000. But if you hit like three people, it's still going to be 500,000. Now that might not a lot of sense, but let's say for example you did 5,100. So it's going to be 50,000 per person, 100,000 per accident. And not a lot of people know this, but another way you can use to save some money is if you have those higher body injury limits, so like say you have at least 250, 500, it's actually going to save you money down the road. A lot of companies would like to see those higher limits they give you extra discounts. And if you have anything really below that, actually it's really below 100, 300, they actually surcharge you a little bit, and your policy isn't really going to be as cheap as most people think. Like, oh, state minimums is going to be as cheap as possible, which I've seen it is actually spending like a $30 swing if after they've had like 250, 500 for 6 months and then went down and reshopped them and found them a little bit better of a deal because they had those higher limits. The other thing you kind of want to know about those body injury limits is, let's say if you do have 250, 500 and you have a $300,000 house again, but the company that you're working with only goes up to 250, 500. So then that's when you can talk about an umbrella. So umbrella adds $1 million of liability to your auto and home insurance. So your auto, if you had 250, 500, would be 1.25 million up to 1.5 million per accident. So that way you can be well above, your assets there, so you make sure you're fully covered. The other part we want to talk about is the uninsured and underinsured. And all that really is, if somebody hits you, you want to make sure you have coverage for yourself. Because if you do have a lot of things going on, you got some pain and suffering, that way you still have coverage. So if they don't have insurance or they don't have enough insurance to cover you, at least you can still get taken care of. And, having lower limits, $50,000 if you get in a hospital, you're going to be there for a while. It really doesn't go very far because we're not really talking about like health insurance and all that stuff taking effect. The other part of liability is the property damage. In Michigan, there's actually two types of property damage. There's your personal protection insurance, which is $1 million insurance, property damage in Michigan. And then the other one is property damage. Let's just say you slid off, hit a guardrail, maybe you hit a couple cars, maybe you hit another house or something like that. That property damage will kick in to cover that. And then after that, the last part of it is what they call like a little mini tort. It depends on the type of company, it's worded different ways, but Michigan back in July, they increased it to $3,000. So let's just say somebody did hit you and, you had a police report. That's important. You had their insurance and their policy number and everything like that. You could call up their insurance company and file what they call a mini tort to try to get some of your damages, come back to you. Say if you only had, no comp or collision on your car, just PLPD is what's commonly called here in Michigan. The mini tort, it will give you up to $3,000. So that way if something happens, you can get your car fixed up to like $3,000. So if you guys got value out of this video, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell notification. See you guys in the next one.